Hello there. Happy New Year 2026. Quick question. When is it socially appropriate to stop saying Happy New Year? I'm going to say that it's whenever you've stopped meeting the first person. But I know some people go, once you hit the double digits of January, that's it. It is so great to be joined here by you all. If you want to do a little introduction in the chat, I would love to see who's here, where you're tuning in from as well. That's always handy to know, what nation in particular, so that whenever I'm going through some responses and some questions, I can hone in on where you are and try to help you out as best as I can. My name is Nicole O'Connor. I'm the Education Community Lead here in the Adobe Express for Education Europe team. You might know some of my colleagues like Dom Trainer and Meredith Jones. You might know some other folks like Sean McLaughlin, Kevin Sate, Ruth McKeown, Jennifer King. However you have found us and whoever has introduced you to this webinar, thanks, they're a good egg. Thanks, Chris, for popping into the chat there from Aberdeenshire in Scotland. Great to have Scotland on board with Adobe Express, and some really great things that are happening up that neck of the woods. That was our last case study, actually, was up in Scotland. I'll show you where you can find out about that and some of the other things that we get up to in our team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just spend this half an hour answering a few of your questions that you might have. I'll leave enough time at the end, hopefully, to answer anything that I haven't managed to cover in the presentation. It's just a little flavor to get you started and to introduce you to what is Adobe Express, what can you do with Adobe tools. I'll pop into, God, Aberdeenshire, you're represented here. We have anyone not in Aberdeenshire, but I love this. Okay, everyone keep coming from Aberdeenshire. Love it. What we'll do is I'll go through kind of like the complete beginner section of even how to get access to Adobe Express. I will record this and pop it up on YouTube as well. So of course, the snow still snowed out, and that's such the January joys. But what I'll do is I'll put a recording of this out in case people are tuning in from other nations and want to know how they can access Adobe Express. I'll try and cover things outside Scotland as well, but you guys are going to get first dibs on all the questions, which is super. So let's hop over to this little presentation that I have then, and I'll take you through it. So you're completely new to Adobe. Where do you start? First of all, right here. You're in the right place, friends. To give you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to do, I'm going to introduce Adobe Express for Education. I'll give you a little whistle-stop tour of the homepage, but I do have other webinars that I do that take you into more detail into each element of the homepage and then each of the tools within Adobe, because it packs a punch. It does a lot of things. Then what I'll do is I'll talk about some of those key features and tools that people probably go to Adobe Express for the most, and that's why they choose it. I'll show you how we support teachers, let you know about some of the resources and help that is just a click away, and then let you know how to access and get logged into Adobe Express. So let's get started with just who are we and what are we doing. So Adobe Express is an all-in-one editor tool. It allows you to support students with those future-ready skills. We know that digital tech skills, tech literacy, AI literacy, creativity, critical thinking, these tools are, and these skills are the most requested by employers of the future. Just have to have a little look at the Future Jobs report to see that. But also we know that that's what the world is demanding of our young people and of teachers as well, to be fair. We need a lot of digital resilience as teachers now. And I know, like, I've been out of the classroom for a year or so now, but I know even whenever I was last teaching primary 7, when I was using Adobe Express with those kids, and the ways that they were thinking about AI and the questions that they had about it, just at that budding stage of it, will definitely have evolved now. So we really listen as much as we can to educators and to teachers, and to hear what you need to support on the ground at the coalface the work that you're doing to engage students in their imagination and to start preparing them for the future. There are a lot of curriculum-aligned tools and activities, resources that are in Adobe Express, but also that our team and our community have created. So if any of you know the wonderful Kerry Abercrombie, for example, she was quite instrumental in helping create our Scotland ebook of 45 lessons. We had support from some other innovators then for Northern Ireland, Wales and England, and there will be more resources coming out as well. We also have drawing tutorials created from an innovator in the Scottish Borders, Suzanne Pritchard. So there's a lot of things that are created by teachers all across the UK and Europe and beyond that are available to you, and I'll take you through some of them and where you can find them. And then I'll tell you about where you can access our growing community and take part in it and just have a great time with us all, because we're good eggs, we're a good bunch.
Welcome to your quick tour of Adobe.
Oh, too quick. I normally like just going and giving you the tour myself rather than going to this video. I'll show you where you can find this video, which is a tour of Adobe Express. Essentially, let me go to my Adobe Express homepage. Here we go. This is where you would go. So this is the interface of Adobe Express for education. So you notice up in the top corner, Adobe Express for education. That's quite important. The education version has been built for education in mind, and that's the one that you will be logging into as a school. And I'll give you that information later on how to make sure you have an education account or how to access it. If you want to go away and look at a tutorial, you may be like, oh, I forgot what Nicole showed me. You want to see more about Adobe Express, then you're going to go to this little light bulb, the Learn tab in Adobe Express. So right on the home page is the Learn tab. And what it's got is little tiles, little like blogs and videos for different features. So this one, for example, the tour of Adobe Express for Education is like 3 or 4 minute long video that you can make full screen if you want. And if I just take a little scrub through it, it shows you a lot of the different things that you can do, some of the different tiles. You might actually see a bonus tab there, Teach, which isn't available just yet for everybody. But there's a whole bunch that it goes through just to give you a high level overview. So if maybe you're keen to use Adobe Express now and you want to encourage your teaching friend, then you could literally send them a link straight to this video. Send them that link and let them know what it does. So the Learn tab is really handy for, I want to pick up a quick little tip like, okay, what can I do with generative AI? Okay, what can I do with student activities? Give me some inspiration. These are just, and this page gets updated frequently enough, I would say. And there's other tabs along the top that you could explore. So plenty of learning for teachers in the Learn tab. And if I just bring me back to the home page, I'll give you a little tour of what we've got here. These tiles are ordered across the top and down to the bottom here, kind of in order of like what's most popular and what's most used by educators and students across the globe. So there was a lot of research done in this, and this interface was brought in at the start of the academic year. So you can see the most popular things are generating an image with the AI built into Adobe Express, creating posters, videos, guided activities, all the way down to making logos and generating QR codes that don't expire, which is just great. You also have an Edit tab up here, which are some of the editing tools that are available to you in Adobe Express, like removing backgrounds of photographs, editing PDFs, putting captions on videos for that enhanced accessibility, and so on and so forth. You can also just keep scrolling down, and you'll see that I just pinged back to the Create tab. So I could just scroll to the bottom of Create, and then it pings me over to Edit as well. So it's like a fun little feature just to make sure that you don't feel like you're missing out on anything. Earlier on, when I scrubbed through that little tour video, you might have spotted that there was like an extra tab in the middle here. There was a Teach tab. If you have a Teach tab on your teacher account, that means that you have, no sign from me. Might want to try again, Lynn. Well, you can't hear me. Let me see if I can type back to you. Try refreshing. One of the things that you can do if you have the Teach tab, it means that you have access to classrooms. Not every account has access to classrooms just yet. There is one region in Scotland that does, and England has access. The other nations across Europe are getting it soon. And there's just some testing going on at the moment to check out your accounts to make sure that this feature will work as it's intended. So we don't want to release it until we know that it's going to work the way that it should. So that's why some people might have a Teach tab in the middle here, which gives you some extra features. I will do a webinar on classrooms and the Teach tab whenever it's released for the majority of the UK and beyond, just so that it's an opportunity for everybody to get acquainted with it. But you might have guessed it, there is help for using it over on the Learn tab. So if you have access to it, then right here, look, there's some information on using classrooms. So there's a lot of help there, which is just fantastic. That's what we want. Now, over on the home page here, if I come back to the start, I'm going to, oh, I see somebody else doesn't have access to the sound. If you give me a little second, they seem to be accessing via YouTube. So I just want to send them a link here so that they can come and join and say, join me here. Thank you. So what else can you do in Express? You can search for templates. There are thousands of templates in Adobe Express. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can go and search in here for, let me say, like a history timeline. And maybe I'm going to do a historical timeline for the students in my class. And maybe they're going to make one about the history of flight or about the famine or about the sinking of the Titanic. I can find heaps of templates in here and go in and customize them. Now, I do a whole webinar on posters and visuals and things like that, taking you through it. But this is more just to give you an idea of some of the things that you have access to in Express. Lots of blank tools that you could start from scratch, like just creating a poster. So I can take a tour here as well, which is great. I'm going to skip this tour for now because something else you might notice, if you have a little search around my canvas, can you find the light bulb? The Learn tab is in the editor as well, which is really handy. It's just up here. So there it is. So it means anytime you go into a tool in Express and you're like, I'm not sure how to use this one. Oh, it loaded up something I previously had. Let me go in again. If you have something that you're starting to create and you're like, oh, I want a bit of help with this, you can just go to the Learn tab here and go and find some extra tips. And you can follow instructions on how to use text, maybe how to just get started from the very beginning. And it gives you all that support in the editor as well, which is really handy, I find anyway. So let me hop back over to my presentation and take you through a few other things that people really enjoy about Adobe Express before we go and talk about some access.
Welcome to.
So I've talked a little bit about how it's used as a digital media app and some of the other things that we really focus on, because a lot of the team that work on the content and the product in Adobe Express, a lot of them used to be educators. And if they have been out of the classroom for a little while, that's why we have focus groups that have a lot of educators on it. So that the content that is created and the tools that are made are really focusing on mostly the 4 C's. So creativity, critical thinking, communication, and collaboration. But ultimately what we want to do is we want to help teachers. We want this to be a tool that's very meaningful for their students as well. And it's free for every single primary, special and secondary school, K-12, 3 to 18 years old. It's a completely free tool available to you. And it meets a lot of your curriculum needs. You can make data charts, graphs, bar graphs, pie charts, things like that, right into all of your video editing, animations, web pages, presentations, flyers, you name it. And then, of course, the generative AI skills and tools that are available to you. Here's a way that a little video just showing you some of the interface in the editor. So creating some images with generative AI, but actually using one of the really powerful tools, which is the composition reference tool, which allows you to put in kind of like the shapes of where buildings should be laid out in this example. And then we're doing a prompt to try and recreate Pompeii from way back when. And you can see that Firefly has generated a few options. That's the name of the AI engine within Adobe Express, Adobe's Firefly. And You can then go in and remove backgrounds, insert objects, remove objects, and so on and so forth. There's quite a lot that you can do. But if you don't know how to do any of them, you can follow guided activities. So that's what these little thumbnails are. Some guided activities that give you step-by-step instructions along with tutorial videos right beside you as a little companion to your digital creativity. Really, again, helping students engage with their imagination. That's a super powerful tool. Some of this interface is slightly different to what it looks like now, but again, the functionality is much improved. It will remove, or doesn't remove, more replaces. So it'll replace this awning with one that might have been more appropriate to the time, and we could maybe go and change the volcano to be erupting and things like that. So again, great tool, lots of curriculum links whenever you merge your pedagogical knowledge with the innovative tools that are available to you. You can just really see the potential here to get something really exciting for students to create. And then this last one was actually one of my primary 7's favorite tools. I thought the Gen AI image generation was going to be their favorite thing, but they loved creating their own text effects. So essentially making their own fonts and have, like, instead of all the black writing there, it would have something different on it. They loved doing that. So we would do topics like the Titanic, and they would be trying to create either icebergs, or they would be creating like the steel hull of the ship and things like that. Or for, I've done it with the class before, studying ancient Egypt, they would go and make like hieroglyphic papyrus paper for their text effects. And the ones that you can create for rainforests, like getting parrot feathers and things like that. It's so good for those visual metaphors. Like, I just find my kids love that the most. And they were like, yeah, okay, I could generate images, but I made a font today. Check me out. I'm like, yeah, check you out. That's class. So really great tools, really great things that are available at your fingertips. What else can we do? So I talked a little bit, I mentioned those guided activities that are available to you, but there are so many great templates in Adobe Express as well. And whenever the Classrooms feature becomes available to you, you'll be able to assign those to your class. At the moment, you could share them with a link, however you would share links normally with them. So if I was to go over to this Activities tab here and click onto it, I can see this language is going to get localized as well, by the way. So it doesn't say subject and grade and middle school and things like that. But let's go in and choose science. And let's say we're upper elementary, so key stage 2. I can see that there are some guided activities such as like design an ecosystem postcard, or create a planet travel brochure. Now, they are trying to get to Mars, aren't they? So I could click into this one, for example, and I'll see, like, great, okay, lots of different ways that I could go and edit and change this, but also that I get instructions here down the side, really helpful. Let's try click into another one here, design an ecosystem postcard. So some of the templates in the guide activities are one-pagers, some of them are multiple pages, but you can see this like little video that you get, again, taking you through what to do. So it's really great for whole class teaching. You could go full screen and show it to your students before they go and start completing and creating it, and then they can refer back to it themselves. What's really great about this is the universal design for learning principles at play. So you've got those multiple means of engagement, you've got audio and video, and then you've got text and images down here. And again, you can just hover over these images to see them larger. So again, really great tools that are available just at the click of a button. And then if I go back into the activities tab, I scroll down a little bit, you can see some of those easy to use classroom templates, which just look gorgeous. Like, look at that rock cycle presentation one. And there's a little activity in some of them. Some of them have instructions for you. And there's a whole bunch that are available, again, through the search bar up at the very top. Let me hop back over here and talk a little bit more then about some of the, I think I've mentioned most of these. I probably didn't mention collages. So there are grids within the editor. So if you were going in to create a poster, there's a little option for grids. So kind of similar to like Pic Collage and things like that without the watermark, where you can snap things into making like a nice mood board, or maybe a summary of a lesson or a school trip that you were on. You can do all of that with the collages options as well. You've also got a really cool tool for galleries, which is fantastic for showcasing like maybe multiple files and projects in like one unit of work. So for example, if we were doing ancient Egypt and maybe I had a student that had animated a pharaoh, maybe like this one here, I have one of the animate characters as a little printout. So maybe they've done an animation with a pharaoh, and then maybe they've got a poster with like the steps for mummification, and then maybe they've got a web page that shows some of their research on the River Nile. And I just want a place to have all of that in one place to go, that's all of little Jimmy's work on ancient Egypt. I could create galleries where I can put in all of that in one go. So let me show you where that is, just as a little overview. But again, I do longer courses on this type of stuff. So you just go to the plus, and if I scroll down, gallery. It's kind of like a little hidden gem that I'm giving you for free just there. I start creating a gallery, and then boom, I can go and add in some text, generate images, or add files from anything that's in my stuff. So anything that's in Adobe Express already. And that's the great thing about Adobe Express. It's totally web-based. So that means your work is always saving to the cloud. So in your stuff, you have all of your files and folders, and you can have collaborative projects where you could have like multiple people in a project with you. And so you and your teaching colleagues, for example, if you want to share resources. But you do need to have Wi-Fi connection or Ethernet connection. You need to be connected to the internet. Otherwise, you have a big gray window that comes up saying that you're offline. Whenever it reconnects, you can continue your work. And so again, really fascinating ways that you can, again, just remove barriers to literacy, digital literacy in particular. So we don't need to remember about hitting like the floppy disk icon back in the day. It's just saved for you. I'm going to skip over these slides because I did talk about this a little bit already about the generative AI that's available. The responsible generative AI that's in Adobe Express isn't training on any teacher or student data. I think that's one that gives me massive reassurance as a teacher, is that my students are creating things for themselves, not for Adobe to go and train their AI models on. Adobe doesn't need to. They have Adobe stock. They have a great relationship with content creators so that they're able to fairly compensate people for the work that they're doing. If you have generative AI turned on for your district or for your local authority or for your nation, that's because an admin has determined that it is safe for use within your school. There are ways that you can report or flag anything, because like everything with technology, when even a simple Google search sometimes can bring up something that wasn't intended, but you can search through hundreds of stock images in Express, but sometimes I find that also overwhelming. Sometimes when I get like hundreds and thousands of answers, I'm like, actually, maybe I could generate something very specific that I was looking for. Particularly if there isn't something, or if there isn't a good bank of the stock images in there. One of the topics that might be like that is Titanic. So in Northern Ireland, we love learning about the Titanic. I'm sure other nations might be the same. But the Titanic's a very popular topic here, but there isn't a lot of photos and videos in Adobe Express in the stock library for it. So generating is actually really interesting because how accurate are the students with their prompt? And they can't just say an image of the Titanic because Firefly doesn't know what the Titanic was. So they have to get really good with describing the funnels and the shape and the color, and it's still not going to be perfect. But I love when that happens because I go, hey, kids, this is why we don't rely on AI for everything. We have to fact check and we have to make sure that it's coming from a reliable source. Final thing to say on this is the content credentials. So if you download something from Adobe Express that has used generative AI and you go post it on social media or online, it will have a little watermark on it to say that it was generated with AI. And that's Adobe's commitment to being transparent with generative AI use. And it's a great thing in my books. I like knowing if an image that I'm looking at online is real or if it's been generative AI either enhanced or created. Next up, I'll talk a little bit about classrooms. I'll do a session on it later on, as I said, in the future. But I'll talk a little bit about on it here, that essentially what you can do is create a class, share a link to an assignment or to a template or to a guided activity with your students, and that's how they join your class. You can give them instructions, you can add resources and materials for them to consume or read beforehand before they take part. And then after, once you've assigned it, you can see their progress live, and you can get like really good color coding. What teacher doesn't love color coding, am I right? Really good color coding of who has started, who needs additional, who's not made any progress, and who hasn't started, things like that. So you can go in and support students as necessary. You can also turn on a classroom gallery, meaning that you can flick through all of your students' work and students can see their work as well. Again, Classrooms is at the moment only available in the US, England, and I think one local authority in Scotland at the moment, with the others coming soon. It's just everybody's circling back after the Christmas break now, so it'll take a little while to get those wheels in motion again. And then hopefully you'll start seeing the Teach tab on your account and Classrooms start to show up. And you'll hopefully join me again for a webinar specifically on Classrooms. I talked about activities already, so I'm going to skip over this one and talk about your access and setting up Express if you haven't already got access to it. So Adobe Express collaborates with a lot of partners that you might already be familiar with in your school. So you might have a single sign-on to it for Adobe using your Microsoft account, your Google account, Clever, ClassLink, so on and so forth. They also have collaborations with Book Creator, Magic School, and others. Wakelet's another one as well. So you have lots of avenues of how you can get into Adobe Express. And one of those things I think some people don't realize that they have an Express account. So I always say, like, just try log in with your school's single sign-on to express.adobe.com. Or if you are in one of the 3 nations here, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, you more than likely already have an account through your local authorities provider. So in Northern Ireland, you are supplied via C2K, part of the Education Authority's EDIS team. So you can either go to express.adobe.com and log in with Microsoft or Google using your C2K account, or you can go into My School and access via your My Apps Launchpad. For most regions in Scotland, you can access Adobe Express via Glow. You can go to the Launchpad for Glow and it'll be on either the first page or the second page in there for you to just hop straight in and start creating. There are a couple of regions in Scotland that have their own tenancy, so you might just need to log on with your school or district's single sign-on. And then for Wales, all of you lovely lot can access Adobe Express via Hub. Just log into Hub and go to your Launchpad there for all of your apps, and Adobe Express should be right up on the first page. If you're in England and beyond, first of all, do what this little ticker's saying is try log on with your school single sign-on. There are so many accounts for Adobe Express across England and beyond that the likelihood is that somebody at some stage in the recent years signed up for Adobe Express accounts for your whole school and then just forgot about it or things moved on. And you might already have an account. But if you're not deployed and you've definitely tried and you're like, no, I don't have access to it, then here's where you're going to go. You're going to go to this webpage, adobe.ly/express links. That's actually what the QR code below me also takes you to. And where this little arrow has been hopping at, jump to the technical section. You're just going to head there and go to the very bottom and look at the deployment steps. And it will show you that if you have a Google or a Microsoft admin in your school, and maybe there's a technician who's in charge of that, they have the permissions to be able to deploy Adobe Express licenses for everybody in a primary or secondary school for free. So if you have learners from age 3 to 18, then you can get Adobe Express for free. That little technical section will take you right where you need to go to. Some of the other things on this page, even if you're already deployed, are really helpful for you just to get started with Adobe Express. The first one is our live lessons, and I'm actually just going to flick over to this page here. So our live lessons are ran by the fantastic Dom Trainer and Meredith Jones, and they are about 75 minutes long. They cover 2 activities, so there's a natural pause halfway through if you don't have like 75 minutes for a lesson. But they happen every single week on one of those World Something Days or one of those seasonal themes that make sense for a broad range of classes across Europe. So it's for 7 to 13-year-olds. Roughly, that's the level that it's pitched at. And even if you can't attend live, you can still sign up to get the certificates for your class and to hear how you can win some live lesson loot. So live lesson loot is new or recent to these live lessons, where you can win some swag and some prizes for your pupils. So a great way for you to encourage and reward them for their digital creativity. And if you can't keep up, pause. Just pause them at any time, and then you'll be able to get your students sorted with whatever little issue they have, or get some digital leaders down to assist your class, and then resume the video whenever you're ready. They're fantastic resources I find actually as a teacher, I learned a lot about Adobe Express just by following the live lessons myself, never mind my pupils. And then if I scroll on down a little bit more on this page, we have the ebooks for Adobe Express. So there's 45 lessons for the curriculum. And these ebooks in particular have been tailored for the national curriculums of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. There are also some additional resources there for NCCE computing. And then if you want to watch any previous tutorials, you can go to some playlist here of all of Dom's videos. There's so many playlists in there that you could go down a little rabbit hole of finding, including the wonderful drawing playlist that I mentioned earlier, created by Suzanne Pritchard up in the Scottish Borders. We also then have an ACE community, so an Adobe Creative Educator community, which you're formally welcome to. That is essentially where you take part in some training with me or with Meredith if you want to avail of it through Welsh. I do weekly training on Adobe Express. There is a forum online where you can chat with other teachers and find out some things that they get up to. You can access previous training recordings on YouTube, and you can book a spot on a future training that I'm going to do. I'd also love to invite you to ACE Leader. You do not need to be an expert in Adobe Express to be an ACE Leader. It's really for people who want to be an active part of a digital community. So every month I send you resources straight to your inbox, and then there's an optional monthly call if you want to come and create with me and ask me any questions. And we're often joined by our friends in the States as well. So it's a really good vibe. You can learn more about our other community programs, and then all the help that you could possibly need for technical questions are down this section as well. So what type of requirements you need for your iPads, for your Android devices, for your web browsers, and then that deployment button that I was saying, that is the all-important one if you don't already have access to Adobe Express for Education. So I will throw it out there now for any questions that you may have. Otherwise, I'll let you go and reclaim your evening, and hopefully you'll be up for joining either Dom and Meredith on a live lesson, or you'll come along and join me on one of my future ACE webinars where I'll dive a little deeper into each of the tiles. I'll do a session on posters, videos, so on and so forth. You can see the full menu of them over in Express Links. Just jump down to the teacher training section or go back where you booked me to come to this one. You all have my email address. That's how I was able to send you the link for this. You're very welcome. So feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. Other than that, happy digital creativity, and I wish you all a very safe, snowy recovery up in Aberdeenshire in particular, and hope you get all, well, you're already home. For everybody else, hope you get home safe and sound, and I'll catch you online, hopefully. All the very best. Take care now. Bye-bye.